What is happening, everybody? It's time for MLB Live Before Lock with myself and Eric. We've got a nice Tuesday slate here, a bunch of games, and oddly, there's been a lot of baseball slates lately that have been locking like 10, 15 minutes later than normal, and we've got that again for today. So as you guys are coming in here, like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel if you are Stokastic 7. You have any questions for Eric and I as we go, tag me in Discord so I see those questions. Other than that, we're going to do our usual thing. Break down the slate, see what we like, see what we don't like, look at the ownerships, the player projections. Hopefully, you guys are having a nice start to your week. Eric, how are you doing today?
Yeah, if you're me and you ran lineups 20 minutes ago, refresh. It is completely different when I'm looking at compared to what I was getting about, right before 6 p.m. Eastern time, 3 p.m. Pacific. We just got a projections and ownership update. So there was one pitcher that we'll actually discuss because I still think like range of outcomes, maybe somebody that could potentially be in play as like a punt option, but he went from being pretty popular and being very, very cheap to being not popular, but still remains very, very cheap. So we'll get into him. I don't know if it's super necessary on this slate specifically, but anytime we've got Coors Field, and I mean, these Coors Field lineups are just ridiculous today. I mean, there are some underpriced bats there. So it's kind of a headache slate. Whereas yesterday, I loved the slate. I just got waxed anyway, because I don't know. Why wouldn't Simeon Woods Richardson have 11 strikeouts against the Yankees?
Shut him down, did he yesterday? And yeah, we got Coors Field on the main slate. We've got Miami and Colorado. When it's a team like Miami and Colorado, they're priced up relative to what they normally be in Miami, but it's not like absurd price tags on these Marlins hitters or anything like that. They are the only team on the slate currently pulling double-digit ownership on DraftKings, 12% ownership going to the Marlins as a team. And then over on FanDuel, they are 14%. So the most popular team on both sides of, both sites, FanDuel and DraftKings, but nothing like crazy in terms of ownership. And then we've got a handful of pretty decent pitching options today. We've got Shohei Ohtani pitching. We've got Freddie Peralta. I am just kind of curious, Eric, is with Coors Field being on the slate, do you generally have a preference whether you prefer to pay up for pitching or the Marlins, just like a general overall outlook on the slate before we get into it?
I prefer to pay up for pitching. I'm on the under of that game for what it's worth. Rip to me and everybody who is involved in it, but it just looked ridiculous. Kyle Freeland's one of those guys who can do enough to just be somewhat effective. Like, again, it's a range of outcome thing. If this game goes for 20 runs, it is what it is. It's the same thing as them going for 11 runs in my book with that. But from a DFS perspective, I'm definitely going to have some Miami in my portfolio. I'm playing 50 lineups on FanDuel, playing 20 over on DK. I feel as though I'm going to be playing a ton of Freddie Peralta on both sides, just the way that things are working out. So not as much to go around for all the jamming of Miami or Yankees bats or Shohei Ohtani or things of that nature. But Freddie Peralta's on an island on this slate. And so when you talk about spending up for pitching, I'm basically just circling him because he gets to face the Angels, Greg. He is right-handed. Those are two good things to be against them.
Let's talk about some of those pitching options, including our pay-up option here in Freddie Peralta. He's $10,500. Logan Gilbert is $10K. Those are your two pitchers who are north of $10,000. And you got two guys in the $9K range, Christopher Sanchez, $9,500, Michael King, $9,200. You got Freddie Peralta, the one super chalk option at pitcher today. He is pulling 45% ownership, Eric. And then you've got Ohtani right around 20% owned. And then it gets pretty flat beyond that. You got, 16% ownership to Schlittler. And then you got 11% ownership to Logan Gilbert, 11% to Merrill Kelly. And then at the bottom end, 11% to Yuri Perez. Who's your favorite pay-up options today? Between Michael King, Christopher Sanchez, Logan Gilbert, Freddie Peralta. It's easy to say Peralta, but when you consider the ownership, is it still him?
Yeah, don't care. 8.5 strikeout prop. 8.5. Yeah. It's a little bit of plus money going up towards the over of that. No big best line available, plus 125. So going to give you more of a true idea of where that number sits. I cannot tell you enough how good of a spot this is for Freddie Peralta. The only thing that I have in the back of my mind that would be any kind of a concern is that Milwaukee, from time to time, will limit a starter. They'll just do it randomly at times. Sometimes it's somebody's working back, but also sometimes they just choose that, hey, this is the day you're only going to go 4 or 5 innings. I don't think that's going to be Freddie Peralta here by any means. And the only concern that exists is that in the back of my head, knowing that he went 113 pitches against Texas. Like, That's a big allotment of pitches in the year of our Lord 2025. I don't know how to tell you enough, though. It doesn't matter when you talk about his strikeout projection and a 1.5 earned runs prop and everything just lining up for him here. He just needs to be your highest owned pitcher in pretty much any format today.
Yeah, I'm on the same page as you. And so is the data on the site. We got Freddie Peralta showing up in nearly 80% of lineups today. So I get it. Super popular today. But data shows it's warranted. And I mean, we've been doing this for weeks, months now at this point, Eric. A right-hand pitcher, if they have a pulse, they're probably in play against the Los Angeles Angels. And yeah, Freddie Peralta, who earlier in the day had an 8.5 strikeout prop juiced towards the over. Yeah, I mean, that is something that is going to project really well for DFS purposes, especially relative to the other guys that we're comparing them to here. You got Logan Gilbert, who's on the road against Kansas City, Christopher Sanchez, who's on the road against the Dodgers, Michael King, who is going to be on the road against the Mets. Freddie Peralta's matchup is so much easier than all these other guys. I know Logan Gilbert doesn't have the hardest matchup in the world, but it's just not the same strikeout upside that Freddie Peralta has.
Yep, that's exactly it. And the other thing, like when you look at Logan Gilbert, they're not in Seattle. Like you look at any of the home road splits for certain guys, they're just going to be so dominant at home. And Logan Gilbert just is the pontification of that. 0.74 whip at home this season, 1.4 whip on the road, nearly a double whip going from one ballpark to another ballpark. And obviously Christopher Sanchez is in hell having to take on a Dodgers lineup that needs to win baseball games. And this is probably the first time I haven't bet his over 17 or 18.5 outs prop. He's still one of my favorite pitchers. He's still one of the guys I'm most profitable betting this year. And I have like 0% of him in DFS today. So what a time to be alive.
None of these other pay up options are showing up in the Sims. That we got a 2% of Logan Gilbert, 1% of Christopher Sanchez, and then Michael King, who has made, one start since coming off the injured list. He threw 63 pitches. I think that we talked about this in his first outing when it came against the Reds 7 days ago. There was a long time between starts. So 7 days of rest for Michael King. I think the entire goal here is just to make sure he's healthy and ready to go for the playoffs. I don't think he's throwing 100 pitches or anything like that in today's start. So I view him at his price point and the matchup to be very difficult to roster. I'm also a little concerned about Christopher Sanchez's pitch count today when you consider that the Phillies just clinched the division. You mentioned it. You had tweeted it out too. Kyle Schwarber just getting shit-faced last night. You saw him saying, I'm
hammered.
Drunk he was. Yeah. He's slurring his words. He's got the beer bong out. He's chugging beers. And yeah, he's just fucked up last night. So I don't know that Christopher Sanchez is coming into this game in pristine condition. And I wouldn't be surprised if they're like, whatever. We got 5 innings and 85 pitches out of him. Let's take him out of the game. And then Logan Gilbert, I guess kind of by default, he's my favorite pivot off of Freddie Peralta. I just prefer Peralta so much more. It's hard for me to justify anybody else as a pay-up option here.
Yep, that's what it comes down to. And I mean, I don't want to go crazy into the narratives, although, I mean, one bet that I threw out today is very much somewhat based on that narrative, hoping that the Phillies lineup ends up being complete garbaggio. But Christopher Sanchez, he's still a starting pitcher that I'm not going to change his projection all that much for it, but against the Dodgers, you don't really have to. I mean, we get Teoscar higher up in the lineup. He's had a pulse. Mookie Betts has had a pulse. This is a team that has urgency to start winning now. And I think that's really going to be the narrative when we get to Shohei Ohtani and talk about him as well, is like, what is the game plan for the Dodgers over the course of the next week and a half? Their game plan is to try to win the NL West. And everything else is secondary to that goal. And so we're going to see them go balls to the wall, doing everything they can. And we've seen, 2 starts for Shohei Ohtani in like 3 weeks now. He's had a ton of rest. He's had a ton of time to chill. And now part of it was he got sick in Pittsburgh. Don't know how or what, but it was reported that it was basically just a sickness. And so I look at the Dodgers as one that, it's going to be ramped up here. Everybody's going to get ramped up. I expect Ohtani to get ramped up, but the ramping down of the Phillies probably makes some sense, even though they're only a game back of the 1 seed at the moment behind Milwaukee.
So let's talk about the next grouping of pitchers, because we got Shohei Ohtani in this price range. He is going to be around 20% on. He's your second most popular pitcher on the slate. For cash games, I know that Ohtani, we typically don't think of him having an easy matchup against the Phillies, but I think the scenario is different. Oh, one other thing that I think would kind of be funny. I don't think Kyle Schwarber plays today. Do you?
I don't know. So the two big things that I want to have happen, Kyle Schwarber not DHing and Real Muto. I really want to see Marchand, who's one of the worst catching pitchers. You should really be looking at Dodgers stolen base props in the event that you end up getting the Marchand and Christopher Sanchez, who's actually a lefty, and that's kind of a disaster. But the prices will not adjust as much as they should because those kind of markets don't get a lot of action. You'll see it change on Novig and ProfitX pretty quickly, but you won't see them change on DK, Onyx Odds, FanDuel very quickly to adjust for it. So have that in the back of your mind. Anybody who runs on the Dodgers, even though Christopher Sanchez is pretty good at holding, Marchand is horrendous in that department. So I really would like to see him out there. I guess it could be Garrett Stubbs as well. I believe he's still with the team, but Marchand has been the backup catcher usually.
If Kyle Schwarber lands in the starting lineup, I'm going to take a look at some of his alt strikeout props as a hitter. I think he might be hung over and seeing multiple balls up there. This is very narrative based, not something I would normally think about, but and also I would be pretty surprised if he's in the lineup. But if he happens to be in the lineup, I'm gonna do some line shopping and try to find some alt strikeout lines for him.
Marchand is good at the plate though. Who cares? That's not what I was talking about at all. I'm literally just talking about him defensively and how big of an upgrade it is going from Real Muto, who's one of the elite behind the plate, to one of the not elite behind the plate, especially when you take into account that Christopher Sanchez, somebody who probably likes having the normal guy behind the plate. It's definitely a huge, huge downgrade for him as well.
Yeah, so Shohei Ohtani does have a 3.75 ERA for the year, but 2.47 expected ERA, 2.17 FIP. He's also striking out 32.7% of the hitters he faces. So I can't remember how many times, if really at all, Eric, that I've rostered pitchers against the Phillies this year, but this is such a different scenario. Ohtani's a little bit underpriced. We think this Phillies lineup is going to be watered down. It's an easier matchup than you would think it's going to be. It doesn't mean that it's like he's facing the Angels or anything like that, but it's easier than you normally think against the Phillies. And I want to be overweight to the 20% projected ownership we have on him. If you're not playing Shohei Ohtani in this price range, or if there's just somebody else who you want to pair with him, if maybe you can't spend all the way up for Freddie Peralta, who's your next favorite pitcher outside of Ohtani in the 8K range?
Cam Schlittler. I think going up against my Minnesota Twins, this guy has that fastball. He just peppers 50% of the time. It can go very far off the bat. He's like the new age Nick Pivetta. Like that's what we're basically dealing with Cam Schlittler. So I look at some of his metrics early on in his big league career. He's got the strikeout stuff. We don't really have any questions about that. I had Zebby Matthews actually that was picked up right there a second ago. But you go to 2025 here, the only year that we've seen Cam Schlittler. I remember watching his debut, texting Greg about it. He's going to strike out lefties, I think, at a higher clip than he is righties going forward. 28% against lefties, 25% against righties. Part of that is that the curveball, it works in a way where it's only really effective against lefties. He can't even really throw it against right-handed batters, excuse me. And we've kind of got some weird reverse split stuff going on for him as a result. Sub 100 expected ISO against lefties. Against righties, 212 expected ISO, which is just wild to see those kind of splits already. Not a nothing sample size either. Over 500 pitches to lefties, over 400 pitches to righties. So we've seen enough of him where I think this is kind of going to be who he is. He's just going to pepper fastball to both sides of the plate. But then one kind of has it's like a inverted like slider type pitch against righties, and it's not as effective as what that curveball is, but he can't throw the curveball to righties based on the way that it maps out.
Yeah, just based on upside, I'm going to agree with you and go with Cam Schlittler. The way that I've generally approached Schlittler this year is when he's contrarian, I roster him. When he's popular, I try to stack against him because the reality when it comes to Schlittler is he's kind of been inconsistent this year. He's had a lot of starts where he's looked really good. He's had other starts where he's really struggled. Sometimes he's struggled to find the strike zone, but he's typically modestly priced. He's got a 27% strikeout rate. The matchup, I don't mind it today against the Minnesota Twins. So yeah, I like playing Schlittler. I do think there's some merit to making some leverage stacking against him, but my preference is going to be Schlittler over the Minnesota Twins as a stack.
Yep, 100% agreed.
Anything else that you like in the 8K range? I mean, the only other two pitchers are Kelly and Abbott.
Yeah, Kelly, not really for me against Houston. I mean, very righty heavy lineup that you're going to get most of the time, especially now that Alvarez sounds like that ankle's really, really bad. I mean, you want to talk about you want to talk about just a disaster scenario for them. They just get Alvarez back, and now he's not in the lineup, which is obviously a huge upgrade for somebody like Merrill Kelly, but doesn't really have the strikeout stuff that makes him appealing on a slate where there's a lot of really good strikeout stuff. And now we'll get even cheaper where there's some serviceable options that I think have the same type of strikeout upside as Merrill Kelly. So like, it's just kind of an irrelevant spot, not one that even at, a 4.5 strikeout prop juiced pretty heavily towards that over. 5.5 is basically, plus money most places. It's, right around even money there. Like that would be appealing on some slates. I don't think on this one where you have Freddie Peralta, you have a need to maybe get to some expensive stacks and then just more strikeout upside just throughout the entire board, especially with Yuri Perez.
Yeah. So another thing too, when it comes to the decision point between Schlittler, Merrill Kelly, and Andrew Abbott, they're all kind of comparably owned. We've got right now, let's see, 16% ownership to Schlittler, 9% to Abbott, 12% to Merrill Kelly. So it's not like any of them are super popular or super contrarian. And just of the trio, Cam Schlittler is my favorite. I think he's the best pitcher of all of them. And I also think he has the highest upside of any of the three. So that is going to be my choice. Now, from here on out, everything is somewhat contrarian. Everybody who's priced below 8K, Eric, is pulling less than 10% ownership, other than Yuri Perez, who's 10.5% owned. So anything you're doing to save salary with, you're getting a little different than the field. In the 7K range, you've got Sean Manaea 9% owned, and you got Shane Smith 9% owned, pitching at home against the Baltimore Orioles, and then everybody else is sub 5% owned. Is there anything that you like in the 7K range?
Depends for Sean Manaea. Like my impression is that Clay Holmes is going to pitch like 3-4 innings and Sean Manaea is going to pitch like 3-4 innings. Like, is that really that appealing to try to get to Sean Manaea in that range? Like, I don't know. We obviously know what that strikeout upside can be, but against San Diego especially, it sounds like they're pretty locked into just doing whatever the lineup is going to, dictate, like in situational spots. Like you get to the bottom half of the lineup and you have Merrill O'Hearn, Cronenworth come around for the second time. I assume that's probably a pretty good time to deploy a lefty in Sean Manaea. So you probably get 1.5 times through for Clay Holmes. So 3 innings right there, 3.5 innings. I don't love the idea of him, but he has a strikeout upside of anybody here. If it weren't for just the complete unknown of how they want to handle this piggybacking situation that we haven't seen between these two, I would be most comfortable clicking on him, especially at 7,500. But I think the answer is Yuri Perez for me, just way on the cheap. But, if we're not going to go down to the 6K range yet, 7K range is just not an appealing range to me whatsoever, aside from, couple of calculated shots on Sean Manaea, but probably will be a very chalky lineup for me elsewhere. And it's not like he's not pulling any ownership. He's at right around 9-10%. Maybe that comes in lower because people are uncomfortable the way that I'm uncomfortable with it. But what do you think the Mets do here? Because it's just such a hypothetical that I can't even come up with a game plan for how they're going to do it.
Yeah, so Sean Manaea pitched really well out of the bullpen in his last outing, but he only went 3 1/3 innings. So I share the same sentiments as you, where it's here was his outing last time out: 3 1/3 innings, 7 strikeouts, 1 earned run. So when you consider like how much better is he going to pitch than that, and they still only gave him 3 1/3 innings, it's hard for me to really think he's going to work crazy deep into the game. He ended up throwing, a good amount of pitches that time. Where was it? The outing against here it was. So it did come all the way back in July, that outing where he pitched out of the bullpen. But it's like if he pitched out of the bullpen earlier on in the year, and even though he was lights out, he only got 65 pitches. I don't know that they're going to let him work super deep out of the bullpen. I think part of the reason too, he's pitched so poorly lately that I think what the Mets probably want to do here is just make sure like, hey, we don't want him to go more than maybe twice max through the lineup.
Yeah. And you think about how many of these young cats have shown up and just absolutely balled up for the Mets now. They have options when it comes to trying to, like, at the end of the last, because now they need to win some serious baseball games just for the NL wild card, right? Like, this is still very much up for grabs. Like, they've got to figure out what they would even do in a playoff scenario. I think it's probably just like 3-4 innings apiece for like some of the young guys, and then for the Manayas and the Clay Holmes of the world, you're probably getting 4 tops. I can't think of many scenarios you're getting five innings of Sean Manaea here with this San Diego lineup. And so what's the best case scenario? 4 innings, 75 pitches, strike out maybe half the batters in like an outlier scenario. So like 6 strikeouts tops. That's really unappealing on this slate for me. So basically no Sean Manaea for me, but I think under different circumstances, like I would probably, if he ends up in like 1 or 2 of my lineups out of 20 on DK, like whatever, but I'm probably just going to take him out entirely now.
Also, go and download the Tails app or just head on over to tails.bet. Follow myself, follow Eric. I post a ton of free bets there. Just want to show you guys some of the value that I got on the bets I posted earlier, which is another reason too that if you do follow us, download the app, turn on notifications. I bet Clay Holmes earlier in the day, thinking that we weren't going to see a very deep outing out of him. I bet him under 3.5 strikeouts at plus money. Now it is under 3.5 strikeouts at minus 190, Eric. So does it mean it's guaranteed to win? No, obviously not. That's not how things work. But it does mean that it is far more likely to win than how the books initially priced it. So got really good value on Clay Holmes. Some of the other bets that I posted, I do have Cam Schlittler under 5.5 strikeouts at plus 115. The best available line now is plus 104. Also bet earlier, Yuri Perez under 5.5 strikeouts at plus 100. Now the best available line is minus 115. And I mean, we could go on and on down the list here. I bet this one's actually still the same. If you guys are looking for a home run bet, I bet Brett Beatty at plus 1100 to homer. That line is still available. But go check out Tails. It is totally free to tail all of my picks there, which it's a pretty good price point. So you could follow me for free. You could download the app for free. You could turn on notifications for free so that all the bets get sent to your phone. Take advantage of it. It's just a really good way to get yourself some value and do it totally for free. Eric posts some free stuff. He also has some stuff behind the paywall in his Discord, but still, no reason not head on over there and follow us. And it's free. You'd be silly to not do it. Even if you don't like it, at least try it out because it's free. We did get a super chat here, by the way. Super chat. This one is from Zachally. Zachally wants to know, would you play Trio or Noelvi Marte in cash for today? So one thing I want to see here is probably what do we have?
I mean, Churio's definitely the guy between the two, but I've been doing like a hypothetical cash lineup. Mm-hmm. The thing about Miami is that you only have Marcy, and he's 5,300 and he's batting third, but it's left on left, and we just don't have a really great projection on him. I think there's a world you don't necessarily have to go to Churio, but yeah, he's the highest owned guy in the outfield, so I think that's fine. The Marte one's a little bit wild to me. I don't see where the Noelvi Marte even like comes into play for it.
Yeah, so if you do look at the position players that show up the most in the Sims, you're getting a pretty good amount. Yeah, Jackson Chourio. And overall, the Brewers show up a lot in our data. Chourio is showing up as the second most rostered outfielder on the slate in the Sims, only behind Christian Yelich. So, yeah, to me, it's going to be Chourio for sure.
Yeah, definitely for sure. I mean, McGreevy sucks. Michael McGreevy does for sure. But Noelvi, I'm trying to even like see if I have any. I don't think I had a ton of Cincinnati today. It was a decent environment. We talked about it yesterday where the temperature was just radically better than you were getting anywhere else on the entire slate. Still 83, but it's just such a bad ballpark. I know we got 7-6. It ended up not really mattering on the slate all that much, but Cincinnati's a disaster right now because they're rolling out lineups where the highest upside guys and the guys who are projecting the best are at the bottom of the lineup. And that's just not very much fun. You get Ellie De La Cruz. He's your fantasy darling on this team, now batting 7th every day. Like, what a time to be alive. Sal Stewart's still in play, somebody that I get quite a bit of. His expected slugging is up to 829 after going yard again yesterday. But my Lord, it's just a disaster baseball team. So, yeah, I'm definitely getting away from Marte.
Let's get back to the pitching options on the slate. So in the 7K range, I'm on the same page as you, Eric. I don't really like Shohei Manaea all that much, although he is the guy who is showing up in the Sims. Outside of him, is there anything else that catches your attention of the 7K pitchers? Just what's kind of noticeable about Shohei Manaea is that he's not popular, but he's 9% owned and he shows up in our data. Anything else that you like in the 7K range?
No. Like flat out, no. I have one share of Smith. I have one share of Michael Wacha. I'm probably going to get rid of those when it's all said and done. And on FanDuel, they're just completely irrelevant.
Yeah, so for me, I'm going to shout out somebody who sometimes may be good, sometimes may be shit in Zebby Matthews. When you get those good outings out of Zebby Matthews, they tend to be pretty damn good because since he is a guy with a north of 5 ERA, he is never all that expensive for DFS purposes, but he's got a 26% strikeout rate. So in some of those good outings, you end up seeing, like 5 innings, 6, 7, 8 strikeouts out of Zebby Matthews. So there is massive downside because he's not great and he's pitching against the Yankees, but I'm willing to take some shots on the upside relative to the price point. Not my favorite pitcher on the slate or anything like that, but if I had to pick one guy to roster in the 7K range, he's going to be my choice, is Zebby Matthews. Anything else you want to bring up of the 7K pitchers? Or if not, we'll go we'll go look at super cheapies.
Yeah, let's go to the cheapies because that's the main reason that I'm not playing any of my guys, Zebby, and not really getting to anybody in the 7K range because we can go cheap to somebody facing the Colorado Rockies with a strikeout arm. Like, what a time to be alive.
Yeah, you've got at the low end here, you've got Yuri Perez, who is, like Eric said, pitching on the road against the Rockies, which also extreme risk-reward matchup because it's at Coors. You could never be shocked if a pitcher goes into Coors and ends up scoring negative fantasy points. But $6,300 for Yuri Perez. We know he's talented. I tend to agree with you. I think that the upside outweighs some of the downside here. Wouldn't want to play him like 40% of lineups or anything like that, but 20 to 25% of Yuri Perez, I think that's pretty reasonable.
So I had to try to get ChatGPT to help me out with something yesterday because I thought about this genius idea and I didn't share it. I was going to probably share it with you at some point, but Yuri Perez, how much money would you be up if you just bet his alt strikeout line one higher and his alt earn runs line one rung higher up, and you just went to like 3.5 earned, and then if you went to like 6.5 or 7.5 strikeouts, I feel like you'd be up a boatload of money because it's one or the other. And if you're getting like plus 200 in both directions of it, you're profiting probably every single time you place that bet with Yuri Perez. Because like, how many times does this guy put up like 8 fantasy points? Never. He never puts up 8 fantasy points. You go through his game log. Look at this, Greg. 16.5 fantasy points, -6.5, -11.5, 19, 16, 21, -1, 25, 18. My whole point is that I just listed off like 8, 9 things, and I'm not doing it for the sake of like box score watching, but like he is either giving you A+ stuff where you are smashing a slate, or you're just turning the game off and you just, enjoy your family for the evening. Like, I love those kind of pitchers in tournaments, especially when they're not playing ownership. He is 10%. Why is he only 10%? He has a 5.5 strikeout prop. He is 6,300. I get the blow up risk is there. I get he hasn't been quote unquote good for a hot second here, but I don't give a shit, Greg. This is the best tournament play, I think, on the slate period at pitcher.
Yeah, I don't agree with you that he's the best pitching play. I think it's Freddie Peralta.
Tournament, like off the board, not Freddie Peralta's in like every lineup of mine. So easy.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's somebody to be overweight to the field too, willing to roll the dice with him. You get with Yuri Perez a super wide range of outcomes here. For instance, his last start, he goes 5 2/3 innings, 7 strikeouts, no walks against the Nationals. 2 starts before that, he didn't make it out of the first inning against the Mets. He gave up 2 homers, 5 runs, 0 strikeouts, got pulled out of the game. So there is a definite downside there, but the price tag at $6,300 and the potential upside does make him somebody to roster. So he's my favorite cheap punt to be getting to on the entire slate. Is there anybody else you're considering as a punt?
Kyle Freeland. I really don't want Miami to go nuts today. I don't think he's done anything different. I spent a lot of time looking at Kyle Freeland last night, mainly because he had 10 strikeouts against San Diego in Coors, and that caught my attention. What happened? Why did this happen? Did he just go berserk for absolutely no reason? I'm not sure, but he's always been a guy that I thought could find a way to be somewhat successful at Coors. And I think I've brought this up a million times on these shows and everything else. He's the only Colorado pitcher that I feel somewhat okay with backing in Coors because there's these spike random upsides from time to time. And being a lefty out there, especially against a team like, Marcy, where he's still been pretty decent against lefties, but like a lot of their best hitters throughout the year, Jesus Sanchez was there a hot second ago. Like most of them came from the left side where it's like, all right, I can kind of find a path to survival here. I think Kyle Freeland is worth 1 or 2 of your 20. I think he's worth 5-6% in 150 if you really wanted to ramp it up a tiny bit. But he's your cheapest pitcher on the slate at 5,300. And if you're like me, where you're getting away from jamming Miami, well, you kind of need him to be somewhat successful.
Hard for me to get there, but I get it. I don't hate it. You're getting some leverage against the most popular stack on the entire slate as well. Let's talk about FanDuel pitching really quick, where I'm going to make this pretty simple. Play Freddie Peralta in cash games. Play him in GPPs as well. If you want to be a little bit contrarian, though, Shohei Ohtani's 2% owned in $7,700. I know he's got this 5-inning cap, so you're probably not going to see him. Well, you're not going to see him get the quality start bonus, but I don't think we're going to see the fully 100% version of the Phillies lineup. So 2% ownership at $7,700 for Shohei Ohtani. Sign me up for that, Eric.
It's the only lineup we're waiting on. This is like drum roll. Boom. I'm excited. I'm excited to see this thing. This could get really, really weird. But yeah, I'm with you. Take a couple of shots on him there. I think, you get that version of it. You could get 8-9 strikeouts. We saw that against Cincinnati. He had his best outing last time at Dodger Stadium, mows down 9 of those suckers and finds a way to be optimal. So like, it's very much in play there, even on FanDuel today, but nothing to go crazy with over there, especially when Freddie Peralta exists.
No questions from Discord for us to hit on as far as pitchers go. So let's begin talking about some stacks. And also don't forget, guys, if you want to sign up for any of the packages that we have here at Stokastic, link down below in the YouTube description box. You can sign up through there. We've got our link join program, so you can sign up at any of our affiliate partners. And for each one of those you sign up for, you're getting yourself 1 free month of Stokastic Core Access. We're also sponsored here by DraftKings Pick 6. So if you haven't played DraftKings Pick 6, your first $5 in Pick 6 set, you're going to get $50 in bonus pick money to use over there. So you could sign up at Pick 6, get yourself $50 in bonus picks, and then on top of it, you get yourself 1 free month of Stokastic Sims. Pretty good deal. So check that out. Link down below in the YouTube description box. All right, let's talk some stacks here, Eric. And, the Coors Field game is showing up pretty modestly in our data for considering it's Coors Field. We got 14% of the Marlins as a 5-man stack, and then the Rockies showing up a little bit as well at 7%. I want to know from you. I don't think the ownership is like problematic on any of these teams. If you're building one lineup, who are you stacking tonight?
The New York Yankees. So I'm doing some stuff a little bit different today, where again, I'm playing a cheap pitcher and a Kyle Freeland in a couple of lineups. I'm playing a ton of Yuri Perez, and it's giving me access, even with Freddie Peralta, to be able to get to, I think, a stack that we have projected for 9 and change. How do they get to 9 and change with how expensive these prices are? I mean, people would have to do exactly what I'm doing, because I hand built a bunch of different stuff in the single lineup sim, trying to figure out, hey, what am I going to play in the $55? What am I going to play in like my single entry lineup? Like, wanted to hand pick a couple of teams, and it's really hard to stack up the Yankees and play Freddie Peralta at another like 8K pitcher. It's very difficult, in fact. So we have it projected this way. People better be doing what I'm doing to be able to get to the Yankees. So while I'm worried that Miami could see an influx of ownership, I'm not really worried about that with the Yankees in any way, shape, or form. I think coming off of yesterday, too, an absolute zero, an absolute dunce cap performance, maybe there's a little bit of a downturn that we see there from people as well. But the whole point for me is that I am all aboard the Yankee train today.
If I'm playing just one lineup, I'm going to look at the Colorado Rockies against Yuri Perez. I think both sides make a ton of sense, but especially if we're talking about smaller field stuff, I think Yuri Perez could end up coming in a little bit more popular than what his ownership is. There is just such a ceiling on both sides of this game. And you got a pitcher here in Yuri Perez who does not allow any balls to be hitting. Like everything goes in the air against him. He's got a 30.9% ground ball rate. So he's got the 4.67 ERA, which is definitely a little bit worse than his underlying numbers. But part of it, too, is just a lot of balls get hit in the air against him. And despite that, he still has the league average home run and fly ball rate. You're putting him in Coors Field now. So I think it's pretty interesting to be stacking against Yuri Perez, particularly in single entry fields where you might see Yuri Perez have like double the ownership, what he has in large field stuff. So yeah, give me the Rockies in Colorado tonight, Eric.
Yeah, I'm completely on board with that too. I mean, the reason that I don't have Yuri Perez as a strikeout play today, because trust me, there are a world where I would push that to like 6.5, 7.5, because I think he either just eviscerates them or gets blasted. And there's just a way that you're, again, just talking through like the betting part of it, like 3.5 earned runs alt or 7.5 alt. You bet both sides of it. You're probably in a pretty good spot with Yuri Perez most of his outings in Colorado in Coors Field, because it's hard to have not. How does he even put up like a 10 fantasy point game? He doesn't do it. That's not who he is. So he's either all about himself or he gets shelled. That's good times.
Yeah, let's see what else we're liking for stacks. And I'm curious because you had said that the Marlins are a team you're going to be rooting against. Are you fading them outright? Or are you just not playing as much of them as the field? Once again, they are expected to be the most popular team on the slate, but nothing crazy. We just got slightly over 10% ownership to the Marlins. So what do you want to do with them as a stack?
I really don't want to get to them in like a crazy prominent way. Like I'll probably be a little bit below the field, but 10%, 8%, like I'm all right with that. I mean, we've got 11.5% that they're kind of projected for. We've got a little higher top stack percentage for it, but I'm a little bit lower on it. I'm probably going to get away from playing a lot of them as like the 1 through 5, like main guys, but the Sims are already doing a pretty good job of like filtering out some of the lineups that I don't want as I've reran this. So I'm just kind of going through favoriting some of my favorites that don't necessarily just have all 5-man Marlins. There's a couple of 2-mans that I'm seeing. And I will say this, left on left, I don't really have a problem with Marcy. He's been batting third against lefties for quite a while now. I think he's kind of an interesting bat to maybe get a little bit more of at 5,300 because there's not really anywhere for his ownership to skyrocket by any means. But like Dane Myers, I mean, some of these outfield guys are just nobodies, and it's Coors Field. Everybody's in play. I'm not going to say anything about that, but I'm getting to the Dodgers, and I think Zebby Matthews has strikeout stuff, as you brought up, but like, boy, does he give up crazy hard contact. So just trying to get to some of the more expensive stacks that people maybe don't have access to. I think Tampa Bay against Jose Barrios, obviously, I mean, just insert a new day where Jose Barrios is on the mound and I hate him. So yeah, I like Tampa Bay. I like Arizona, I think, in San Francisco, taking on San Francisco there. I mean, there's just a lot of great stacks that aren't necessarily Miami today, and I'm all right with that.
So who are the other stacks that you are going to be prioritizing on the slate outside of the Yankees then?
Milwaukee is very high in the Sims at the moment. So Milwaukee is taking a ride for me. If you run it unencumbered, I got like 40% Milwaukee in my last Sim run. So I don't want to get to 40% Milwaukee on a massive slate, not really my style, not really what I want to do. But San Francisco, Colorado, you brought up for Yuri Perez on the other side. I think Baltimore is a pretty interesting stack for today as well, going up against Smith and company. Like, the lefties that exist there. We've got Jackson Holiday, Gunnar Henderson, and Jordan Westberg comes off of the IL. So that lineup got a lot better. Basello now batting 8th, who's been pretty serviceable, a couple walk-offs, decent enough stuff here in the early going of now getting paid from Baltimore. They wanted to lock him in early, which is always a good sign that he's probably doing some like the right things behind the scenes as well, that, getting the Atlanta Braves treatment there. But I do feel like there's a lot of different stacks that aren't necessarily just Miami. So kind of spraying the board with a lot of these spots. Who are your favorites?
Hard to not like the Brewers just because of how much they're getting pushed by the Sims. That is definitely something that's going to be appealing to me. Here's a team that is not showing up a ton in the Sims that I like to get to a little bit. It's the San Francisco Giants. Eduardo Rodriguez is a pitcher that I've continually picked on this season. His numbers are, I guess they're marginally better than what they were earlier in the year, but still a guy who has a 37% ground ball rate, 12% home run to fly ball rate, 4.98 ERA, does have a 4.46 FIP, which is a little bit lower, but as you and I have talked about, or at least I have for just about every single one of his starts over the last couple of months, every year of his career, he is typically underperforming his peripheral stats. Just a guy who is above league average in pretty much all the contact metrics. His career BABIP, he's been in the league now since 2015. So 10 years of big league experience, and he's got a 310 career BABIP. So it's just, he isn't somebody who you should be expected to normalize to the league average in terms of BABIP. He gives up hard contact. Guys who put the ball in play against him more often than not do end up having pretty good results there. So I like picking on him a little bit. There's a contrarian stack. We got the Giants pulling what? Giants are 4% owned as a team. So that's a team that I like getting to. And then also it's helpful that the Giants are going to be playing in Arizona as opposed to being in San Francisco. So that's a spot that I like a little bit, Eric.
Yep, agreed with that.
Any other stacks you want to highlight? If not, we'll build out some lineups in the single lineup sims.
Now, you were going to take my home run play. Don't take my home run play from San Francisco already. My lefty on left on left crime. We need it. We need it today. Rafi, how does Rafi get to plus 500 against E-Rod with reverse splits? Tell me this. Riddle me that, Batman. Don't take. We'll
see. We'll see. Let's build a lineup here starting on DK. And Eric, I'll let you pick. Do you want to build a Yankee stack out to start? Do you want to go in a different direction? What do you want our first DraftKings lineup to be?
So, I mean, obviously Yankees, talked about them, but let's go to the Colorado Rockies. Let's find, let's do the Brewers. The Brewers stack, because I do think that looking at the Sims and having stuff rerun multiple times, I've had multiple different iterations. Milwaukee might end up being my highest owned lineup when it's all said and done.
All right, so let's go to Milwaukee. And now, who do we want to be building around when it comes to the Brewers? I'll put Freddie Peralta in here. I know not like part of the stack, but we're already on the team, and he's going to end up showing up in the lineup anyway. So we'll go to Freddie Peralta. Who else, Eric? Who are the important Milwaukee Brewers hitters to be stacking?
Yeah, Yelich, Churio, Turang, Contreras, and first base is getting fun for them. Andrew Vaughn, though.
Okay. Easy peasy. Let's complete the lineup now. And we ended up getting Yuri Perez in the lineup. We got Javier Sanoa. We've got Otto Lopez and Jock Peterson. All right, so we still ended up with a tiny two-man secondary stack on the Marlins, and it's a little bit of a wraparound with the 9-1 hitters. Let's sim this out.
Love.
It's going to come out. I will just about guarantee that it's going to come out looking good. Guarantee. Yeah, 78.7% sim ROI. So that is definitely a direction that I want to be going in for tonight, is some Brewer stacks. And then obviously like Freddie Peralta, a good amount here as well. So let's clear this lineup out. And yeah, we're doing pretty good on time here. So I am going to, let's do one more DraftKings lineup, and then we'll build out a FanDuel lineup or two as well before doing our home run picks. So one with the Brewers, that is definitely one that is sticking out in the Sims. Let's build a Marlins stack as well, just because, it's Coors Field. It's the most popular team on the slate. I'm sure people are going to be interested to see how some of these lineups sim out. So let's go to the Marlins, and let's start with Agustin Ramirez. We'll throw Otto Lopez in here. Let's see. Who else do we want to go to? I'll go to Norby at 4K. I'll throw in Wagaman at $3,700. Is there another hitter that you want to be rostering from the Marlins you want to shout out here?
Yeah, from sea to shining, Marcy. Let's go. 3-hole. Left on left crime.
All right. So we'll go Marcy here. And that gives us our 5-man stack. Going to complete the lineup. And yeah, Peralta. So it's kind of funny. This looks somewhat similar to the other lineup we built out. Freddie Peralta, Yuri Perez is the pitchers. We got Brandon Donovan in at second base, Jackson Chourio at outfield, and then Jock Peterson again, as Peterson does look really good at $2,700 as a one-off. So here we go.
That's cheap.
And 61.6. Another solid looking sim ROI lineup. So there we got a couple of ones on the DK side of things. Now we'll build out a FanDuel lineup. Is there a team that maybe you in particular like on FanDuel you don't like on DraftKings? Or if not, we could just find a squad that want to make a 4-man stack of.
Yeah, so I'm finishing up my FanDuel stuff because I was playing a little bit more over there today. I really like Milwaukee again over there, just looking at my lineups. This is where we want to go Yankees. This is really where the Yankees stand comes into effect. Give me Grisham, give me Jazz, give me Judge, give me Stanton. I mean, just so many 4-man combinations of Yankees that could just go completely nuclear against Zebby. I find the Yankees to just be ridiculous.
All right, so you had said Grisham, Jazz, Judge. Who is the 4th hitter that you were stacking here?
Stanton and Bellinger both look awesome.
Oh, so who are we taking out then?
Let's put in Belly because you can play him at first base, which is fun.
Okay. And just go with these 4. You don't want me to take somebody out for Stanton?
No, I love that. I do love that a lot.
All right.
I'm just going to have so
complete it.
Iterations of this team on FanDuel. It's ridiculous.
All right. Peralta at pitcher. No shock there. And then we got Doug Castillo, Jake McCarthy, Connor Norby, and then Brendan Donovan. So 4-man Yankee stack with a 2-man D-back stack. Let's see how this one comes out. Nicholas Barrett already throwing a home run pick in there. He's getting ahead of the game. Almost 7%. Not quite. Not terrible.
Improve upon that. We really, really can.
I wonder what if we took. All right, let's lock in Peralta, Jazz, Judge, and Grisham. Out of curiosity, let's see what happens if we go to Stanton instead of Bellinger.
Yes. I mean, Stanton looks just awesome over there today. I mean,
he's only 3,500.
Yeah.
Let's see how this one sims out. All right. We've got Del Castillo, Norby, Mudroth, and then Victor Robles. Ronald Hill in the chat bringing up the Phillies. I think the Phillies are going to be resting guys today. That's my personal opinion on them.
Really hope so.
-7. Oh. All right. So hard to make a good Yankees lineup with the data. Data's not loving the Yankees, Eric.
I'm aware there was some Yankee bias here. Again, here's what happens. If nobody plays the Yankees coming off of yesterday being horrendous, which is very much in play for FanDuel, probably going to look different. But I guess right now with what we've got, I mean, Judge is going to be popular every slate. That's not going to be surprising. But the other team on FanDuel, I mean, to not go to Milwaukee, let's do the Seattle Mariners against Michael Wacha. In Kaufman, any lineup is a lineup upgrade over T-Mobile. And there are obviously fantasy good pieces to be getting to. There's guys who steal bags and hit bombs on this baseball team. So like everybody, Julio, Naylor, Arozarena, Raleigh, Suarez. I mean, I'm just getting to a lot of these guys.
All right. Let's go. You said Raleigh. You said Suarez. And then who are the other two that you wanted in here?
We could go. We don't have to go Cal. We could go Suarez, Cal Raleigh. I guess we could go Josh Naylor then as well. Just eat up the utility. And Julio. We'll go Julio. We'll avoid just the 1 through whatever and go 2, 4, or 2, 3, 4, 6. Yeah.
Okay. Freddie Peralta as the pitcher. We got Mydroth in this lineup as well. Gunnar Henderson, Jake McCarthy, and then we got Encarnacion. Let's sim this lineup out.
I think this will be better.
We'll see shortly.
Maybe.
There we go. 24.3% sim RI. We did it. We built out a good positive lineup for FanDuel. So that will take care of the FanDuel side of things. Talked about some DraftKings lineups, some FanDuel lineups. If you guys haven't done it yet, by the way, like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel now. Let us know who you are picking to homer today. Eric and I are going to give out our home run picks, and they'll read off some of yours as well. Eric, who are you picking to go yard today?
Yeah, I mean, I could go with the Yankee theme. Again, it's not a crazy override that I've done there, but I'll stick my left on left. You brought him up. San Francisco's a really fun stack, and I look at Rafael Devers as somebody that people might not necessarily click on in single entry left on left, but that's kind of what you can target Erod with right now. I mean, that he's just been giving up crazy power to lefties. I got to go Rafael Devers, my favorite bet on the board, and somebody I think is very viable for DFS today.
I am going to stick with the team that our sims are giving us a lot of exposure to, and the hitter that our sims are giving us the most exposure to, Christian Yelich. I'm picking him in the outfield to homer today. Christian Yelich, that is going to be my dong pick from chat. Your boy Good Greens has got Bryce Terang. Mike Campbell is going with Ryan McMahon. Jason is going with Judge. We've got Zach Justice going with Blaze Alexander. Andre B has got Benson. Barnaby O'Toole has got Andrew Vaughn. Junior Whopper has got Matt Chapman. Malukar is going with Mickey Moniak. We've got Marquee Sports on the same page as me going with Christian Yelich. Ronald Hill is going with Kyle Schwarber. That lineup, unless it came out a second ago, we don't have it yet.
Still don't have it.
Still no lineup. I would be very surprised if Kyle Schwarber is in the lineup today. I would be very surprised. SVT Mike is going with Andy Pajes. Aaron Hines has got Connor Norby. Ryan Stubbs is going with Jackson. We've got Obi-Wan going with Harrison Bader. Mike Swarek is going with Teoscar Hernandez. 1-2 is going with Ivan Herrera. Damani Tatum is going with Will Benson. Clintwood 83 has got Wyatt Langford. Rooster Slinky is going with Sal Stewart. Ricardo Nelson has got Juan Soto. We've got Charles Moran going with Agustin Ramirez. We've got Josh Dibdall is going with Kyle Teal. We've got Maniac Sports going with Brandon Marsh. We've got, who else? Orlando Hewitt is going with Gavin Lux. And then Jetty also has Andy Pajes. So, guys, that is going to do it for us. Thank you very much for watching. We do appreciate it. And don't forget, we're sponsored here by DraftKings Pick 6. And if you're not playing over on DraftKings Pick 6, just go ahead and do it. I wish I could play in New Jersey. I can't. It's outside of my control. It's not here. Eventually, though, it will be, and then I'll be playing it. So win some money for me there in my absence until I'm able to get over there. And also, the first time you do play over there, new customers play $5 in first pick sets, and you're going to get $50 in bonus picks. If you have a problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Help is available. For problem gambling, call 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. 18 plus, valid only where Pick 6 operates. See dkng.co/Pick 6 states. Void in New York and Ontario and where prohibited. Eligibility restrictions apply. One per new DraftKings customer. $5 in first pick sets to receive max $50 issued as a non-withdrawable bonus picks that expire in 14 days. This ends on October 13th at 11:59 p.m. Eastern Time. Terms and conditions can be found at pick6.draftkings.com/promotions. Sponsored by DraftKings.